JMU doesn't quit. The Dukes cover versus the Ducks. It's Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, we will get to playing in and playing for a championship a little bit later. And, of course, we'll recap Sunbelt Weekend Hoops as well. Do apologize for not having an episode on Sunday. Travel was a little bit crazy and passed out. And then Mama Schultz had a dinner party, and then we're doing one for Monday. So I do apologize for that. I do appreciate the people who did pop on first thing in the morning as I was waiting in the D.C. airport to chat about what happened on Saturday. JMU didn't quit, but I did. I had to go to bed because I had to get up to catch an Uber at 3:50 in the morning. Although I guess I don't really have to go to bed. You could take a little nap. Whatever the case is, JMU loses to Oregon 51-34. And what a great job they did in the second half. I know Dan Lanning said that's not the standard we set. We let the gas off the pedal or the pedal off the gas. They played some reserves on defense. Dante Moore played all game long because I'm told that the only quarterback they got left because everyone's transferring is a walk-on. It was, just make sure we understand this, 48-13, and then it went to 48-20, and Dan Lanning wouldn't bring in the backup quarterback. Oregon fans or whomever fans, anti-G5 fans, I don't think so much Oregon fans, anti-G5 fans are telling me that Oregon could have scored 70 if they wanted to. Why didn't they? Dante Moore played the whole game. Score 70. All right. And as I said, you start to talk these things through. Personally, I think it was a win-win for Dan Lanning. All right. They were never in danger of losing that ball game, the whole game. And he got some young guys in, and now he has a reason to coach. It's much easier to do that when they're upset after the locker room. It feels like a loss, blah, 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 blah. Compared to if you did win, 70-13. All right. Then you got to coach the other way. Like, we're not quite that good, guys. And this was JMU. Texas Tech is going to be much better. So let's go over the ball game. And very early on, again, as a, homer for JMU in this case, first play of the game, and you could just see the difference in the level of athleticism. Simple sweep. And I think the running back ran out of room before he got hit trying to turn the corner. Oregon had converted 1/3 down in the first half. That's it. It turned into a long touchdown, which that running back wasn't touched until about 30 yards down the field. Simple pitch to the left on 3rd and 3. If he picks it up because he gets 5 yards or even 10 yards, okay. But he ran for a 56-yard touchdown. Was that play? I think that was the play, right? Yeah. Deere Hill, 56-yard touchdown rush. That was 3rd and 3. That was the only 3rd down that, not that Oregon converted, that they had. They never had a 3rd down except that in the first half. All right. As far as JMU is concerned, they had a shot to make it a ball game in the first half. They went down the field and, had to settle for a field goal and had the ball for a long, long time and could not come away with a touchdown. Oregon gets the ball right back and boom, they score a touchdown immediately. And then we go to the second quarter and it's 1st and 10 on the goal line. Even if you gain no yards from there, it's a 27-yard field goal. They kept on moving back with penalties and holding and illegal procedure. And it turned into like a 40-yard field goal and it got blocked. So instead of having anywhere from 7 to 14 points, JMU came away with 3, sort of like the Cajuns the other game, where they could have had 21 and they came away with 3. And then you kind of knew you were in trouble. And then the game just got away from JMU. Oregon is really good. Dante Moore is really good. They're telling me that he could be the number one pick if he decides to come out. If he decides to come out, is he really going to consider going back? I guess you have to look who's going to get the number one pick, and I guess it could be the Jets if that's going to be it's going to be the case. You don't want to go to the Jets, and obviously you're going to be well compensated going back to Oregon. But holy cow, that's a decision. Maybe it has to do with how far Oregon gets this year, because now I am absolutely impressed with Oregon. Okay, and even admitted that when we did the live stream on Saturday night at halftime, that bring them out for one more series and get them out of there. And I didn't realize the QB situation that Dante Moore was facing, and they did play some of the second and third teamers before I think the regular defense went back in and did give up that 99-yard touchdown drive so JMU could cover. All right. I think it's a special ride for JMU. All right. Also, at much as I said, it's a win-win for Dan Lanning. Bob Chesney just got a sneak preview of what Big Ten football is like, which is odd saying that about Oregon. But he's going to be able to see on that film at UCLA what he's got and what he needs, what he doesn't have, compared to what Oregon is. All right. I just got a lot of kudos for JMU for not giving up. Again, you see that a lot of time in the pros. Heck, we saw that wasn't it with Alabama at Florida State? They quit, right? In that ball game. Didn't quit so much against Oklahoma, but people were breaking down what Alabama was doing against Florida State. They sort of quit in that ball game. Kentucky basketball just a couple of weeks ago. They quit against Gonzaga. Happens all the time. And JMU just didn't quit, right? Notre Dame quit. They decided they didn't want to play, whether it be in the Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever bowl. They decided, we're too good for you guys. See you later. JMU decided down 34-6, we're playing. We're playing. You're going to give us another 30 minutes of playing? We're going to play. And they did. Alonzo Barnett, the third, let's see, he was about 500 at halftime. Let's see what he finished with. 23 of 48, 273, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. DeGennaro had the long pass. I think that was to Landon Ellis, right? 50 yards. Wayne Knight had a heck of a ball game, right? 17 carries, 110 yards. Did he catch any out of the backfield? He had 3 catches for 18 yards. Dante Moore was fantastic, and I didn't even see the 2 interceptions. 19 out of 27, 313, 4 touchdowns, those 2 interceptions. He does not run very much. He ran one time for 5 yards. Just in 10 attempts, 90 yards on the ground. Deere Hill Jr., 6 attempts, 76. One of those was for 56 yards and that touchdown. Jeremiah McClellan, 6 catches, 83 yards. Malik Benson had 119 yards on 5 catches. Let's see. DeGennaro had 5 catches and 90 yards and a touchdown. George Pettaway, who was supposed to be the back this year, right, for James Madison, he ended up catching a touchdown pass as well. Barnett did run a 1-in. He had 12 attempts on 45 yards. So, again, a magical season for JMU. Obviously, outside of winning, I don't think, and maybe beating Louisville, they wouldn't have changed much this season. All right. And then we're going to go over that here because it is, I mean, people feel like you've stolen they're yelling at me like someone stole their lunch money. All right. So there is a big difference, admittedly, playing in a playoff and playing for a championship. And I will agree that there is a big difference. And we'll talk about that next. All right. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spread and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. I can imagine what it was like when Pittsburgh misses the field goal and Detroit is down by 5, what that live betting was like at that moment. It must have been insane. And then you get the chaotic ending, which it appears they got right, giving Pittsburgh the victory. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt. Your teams every day. There's playing in versus playing for a championship, okay? And has anybody heard the suggestion that JMU or Tulane was going to win the championship? I don't think that was the case. Is that the case? I don't think that's the case. All right. I thought they would be closer. I did. I especially thought Tulane was going to be closer. I picked JMU to win, but I thought Tulane would be closer, and they wouldn't. And the people throwing a conniption over this is mind-boggling. I love me some Brooks Austin, and I appreciate Bud Elliott. I don't know Bud at all. Brooks used to come on my radio show, and what these guys do, kind of invent themselves. Creating something out of nothing is really impressive. It really is. All right, but they are fanatical about no G5 being in, as if winning the championship has to count. All right. In basketball, you get 8 teams in each conference. They're the only ones who actually do the top 8 teams. All right. Division winners may get seeding, but they basically take the top 8. Does anyone believe the 8th seed has a chance to win the NBA championship? I don't think so. Did the Heat get to the NBA finals as an 8th seed one time? They were about as close as possible. 8th seed doesn't win. Why do they get to be in the playoffs? All right. We'll see with the NFC South and the AFC North, although the Steelers all of a sudden, they're looking much better than they did at the beginning of the year. But certainly the NFC, no one's going to give the Carolina Panthers, despite their win on Sunday, a chance to win the Super Bowl. Why should they go to the playoffs? They don't have a chance to win. And so what it means to be in the college football playoff is huge. It's 2 weeks of publicity, especially the last week of publicity. The whole, I don't know if they're on campus. I guess school was probably done, but there's a buzz, in the communities about going to the playoff, right? And I saw, Tulane selling out in the bookshop with all their merchandise. People going cross country from Harrisonburg to Eugene, right? This one guy taking the train and filling us in. You think the guy taking the train across the country would be as thrilled at winning an G5 championship compared to being in the playoff? I don't think so. I think he will have his memory for a lifetime. NCAA tournament, same thing. The schools that just get there, see how crazy those championships are, conference championships. They're not going to win. They don't think that now you can get hot, and we've seen upsets all the time in NCAA tournament. And I understand it's a different sport. You get hot from 3. It's that can happen. But a lot of times those teams don't win, but they get, in their case, usually on campus for 3 or 4 days. There's a buzz that they're going to play in the NCAA tournament. They're going to be on national TV one way or the other. And maybe they have a shot at pulling off a major upset, but then they lose by 20 or 30. And it's been a great, 5 days of publicity. Tulane, the school and the football program, JMU, the school and the football program, just had a bunch of publicity for 2 weeks. It's not the same. No disrespect to Montana State. In fact, they deserve all our respect. They had the highest paid ticket on the weekend. To get into that ball game was like $600 for 2. All the playoff games were cheaper. Bigger stadiums, obviously, so more tickets available. But, nonetheless, the demand was there. I didn't hear about Montana State until Saturday. That's an FCS quarterfinal. It's a great rivalry, and certainly no disrespect. But we didn't hear about that. I didn't hear about it until Saturday. And that's the difference. All right. If you make a G5 playoff, no one's going to care. The media is not going to care. Only the diehard fans are going to care. You're certainly not going to get anybody to travel to a G5 playoff game. Not going to happen. I don't, not very much. You better be in the area. That's how they started doing the NCAA tournament for baseball. We need to put, teams that can travel as much as we can close by. So they do travel. And obviously the SEC and the Big Ten, they have teams that can play for a championship, whereas the G5, honestly, is just happy to get there. And they are. Do they want to win? Sure. Are they competitors? Yes. Did Tulane maybe play a little bit better than that score would indicate? Perhaps. Did JMU not quit when they could have? Of course. But those are things that they're never going to forget, that a G5 playoff would not mean the same thing at all. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen. They're not going to win the championship. I get it. But somewhere along the way, they will win a playoff game, whether it's because the quarterback for the other team got hurt in their championship ball game or whatever the case may be. Somewhere along the way, as I'm lowering expectations here now, somewhere along the way, a G5 team is going to be a P4 team for whatever reason. All right. Fluky play, fluky call, whatever, right? The quarterback goes out during the game, whatever the case is. All right. They could win. They're going to win a football game. We've been doing this 2 years. All right. Just settle down a little bit. They've changed it for 2 years. They're going to change it for a third year. All right. They've already made it almost impossible for a G5 team to get in there. So there is a difference between playing in a championship and playing for a championship. And I don't have any problem with a team playing in a championship versus the same teams that want to play for a championship. Nobody spends more money on their program than the two Texas teams, Texas and Texas A&M. Do you know how much, what are their athletic budgets combined? $500 million. NIL is the max, whatever it may be, 20 each. Do you know how many playoff wins they have? This year, 0. Obviously, Texas made a run last year, but none this year. Texas didn't get in there because they lost to Florida, and A&M, fell apart at the end, averaging 36.5 points this season because they didn't play anybody except Notre Dame. And then last 2 ball games, they scored 17 and 3. Great. All right. Did Texas A&M have a chance to win a championship? I don't think so. What's the ROI on that? I think that's a funny joke. What's the ROI on scoring 3 points at home in a college playoff game? I don't know. All right, so I think there is a difference between playing in and playing for a championship, and I don't have a problem with the guys playing in the championship. We get a lot of teams in the NCAA baseball tournament. They don't have a shot. They get to go anyways. Same thing with basketball. They don't have a shot to win it. Is the standard you have to be able to win the championship to be invited to the postseason? When did that become the standard? I don't understand that one at all. That has never been the standard. All right. Usually it's the leagues keep on here's why they expand it. They expand the playoffs so more teams and more cities are involved. That's why they keep on expanding the playoffs. Stern expanded the NBA playoffs. NHL expanded. Baseball keeps on expanding. NFL keeps on expanding. Do we really need an 18th football game? Do these guys really need to play an 8th? They're going to do it. That has nothing to do with the playoffs, but that's about the money, which is all what the playoffs are. All right, let me know what you guys think. I don't have a problem with the teams playing in a championship and playing for a championship. That could be two different things in the same playoffs. Happens all the time. That happens all the time at all levels. All right. All right, let's take a time out. We'll look back at the Sun Belt basketball weekend. And I don't know if there's any game. We'll check if there's any games this week. Usually there's not. And then maybe over the weekend. We'll do that right after I tell you about game time. There's nothing like college football season. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it. The energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that's the part that used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app to look up college football games, and we're talking Oregon playing Texas Tech, and they're not cheap. Tickets, single ticket was $180, and they were over $200 for 2 tickets, probably closer to $300. So be sure to get those if you are interested in going. The app is incredibly easy to use. I went from browsing to buying tickets in just a couple minutes. I love being able to see the view from my seat before buying, so I knew exactly what I was getting. The zone deal stood out. You pick the section, Game Time Tickets picks the seats, and you save even more. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, let's check out what happened over the weekend. And boy, did I get the lines wrong. I guess that's why I don't make the lines. We do have a few games this week, by the way. And actually, it's through next week as well. Okay. So Saturday, Texas State comes from behind, down 14 at half. South Alabama still playing well after their 2 overtime victory over ULM, 39-25. And then Texas State comes back, 42-26. Really impressive job by Texas State. Let me see if we got second chance points in the box score. That's what I'd be looking for, second chance points, because that's how they beat them. That's how they ended up beating them, because they got some rebounds that it led directly to 5 points, and that's when South Alabama was up. And so they did a good job rebounding. In fact, one time they got 2 offensive rebounds, and they ended up getting points out of it. A jumper at the buzzer of the shot clock. Let me see if we got second chance points here. Second chance points. Here you go. Texas State 19 to South Alabama's 7. That's the difference in the ball game. Holy cow. Also, South Alabama missed 8 free throws to Texas State missing 2 free throws. So that's the answer there. So that's a nice win by Texas State, looking at being 0-2 and getting a win over South Alabama that wanted to start the season 2-0. All right. Let's go over some of the box score, I guess. Chaz Harris, 22 points. Again, awesome, except 4 of 10 from the free throw line. So only 3 guys shot free throws. Adam Olson was outstanding, 10 of 11. Jaden Cooper missed his 1, but Chaz Harris actually had a chance to make it a 2-point game and missed the front end of the 1-on of the 2-shot foul when he went to the hoop. But he's carrying the offense right now. Okay. Also, he doesn't shoot. It's amazing. That's the second time that they have a point guard that doesn't shoot 3-pointers. For Texas State, DJ Hall led the way with 15 points. Mark Drone had 11, and Jalen Bolton off the bench, 10 points in just 24 minutes. All right, Georgia State with a big win over App State. App State, again, was like a 11.5 or 10.5, 11-point favorite. And this was all Georgia State. They were leading 31-28 at half. Go on to the 70-63 victory for the Panthers. Jelani Hamilton, 24 points for the Panthers. Micah Tucker had 12, and Anthony Eno had 10. For App State, Alonzo Dodd had 19. Luke Wilson, 12, and Kaysen Jennings had 10. Let's see if we can see what the difference in this ball game was. They each made 7 3-pointers. Free throws were, App State missed more free throws, but Georgia State hit 15 and App State hit 14. One was 75%, one was 58%. So a little bit of a difference there, but in those cases, can you make 50% more? Rebounding was 38-30. I guess I'm looking for something, and it was only a 7-point game, so it's going to be close. Georgia State did have 14 turnovers to App State's 9. That's interesting. Points in the paint were even. Fouls were basically even. I just think that Georgia State won a close ball game. Georgia State 1-1 in the Sun Belt. App State also 1-1 in the Sun Belt. Troy gets a win over Marshall, 70-63, in what appears to be another close ball game. Both teams shot exactly 35% from the floor. Troy made one more three-pointer. They did hit 10 more free throws. They were 19 out of 23. Marshall 9 out of 14. Fouls, not that big of discrepancy. 19 fouls called on Marshall. Troy was called for 15 fouls. All right. Let's see here. Troy did have, Victor Valdez had 18 points leading the way along with Theo Sang. And then Thomas Dowd had 13. For Marshall, Noah Atsudi had 22. Jalen Spear had 13. And Wyatt Fricks had a 10. Okay. So Marshall just 0-1 in the Sun Belt. Troy is 1-0. Coastal with a 76-74 win over Old Dominion. Coastal Carolina, or Old Dominion, had a win over JMU, and then they lose a ball game that they should probably win at home. Quick scores here. Rasheed Jones had 23 points for Coastal Carolina. Joshua Beadle had 19 points. For Old Dominion, Casey Shaw had 20. Jordan Battle had 23 for Old Dominion. There's not a whole lot of bench contribution I see in the Sun Belt right now. Cajuns, again, I was shocked that the Cajuns were favored by 1.5. I just was shocked. And this wasn't much of a ball game. Cajuns were leading 39-25 at half. They go on for a 76-62 victory, just their second win of the season, snapping what was a 10-game losing streak. Devion Laverne had 16 points. Dorian Finster had 15 for the Cajuns. Shot 10 of 21 from three-point line. Still had issues from the free throw line, 10 of 18. But they held Monroe to 36% shooting, 40 from three. The free throw line tried to keep Monroe in it, but they were 26 out of 33. That's about it. All right. Still some inside stuff. I mean, they got outscored by 16 at the free throw line. They just don't have any inside presence for the Cajuns. All right. For Monroe, did have 4 starters in double figures. Christian Lewis had 16 points. Renars Saunders had 13. And Lavelle Broadnex and MJ Russell each had 11. Again, whether I thought the Cajuns were going to win it or not, still shocked that they were favored on the road, having lost 10 in a row. All right, 2 good ball games to wrap up with. Arkansas State upend Southern Miss 93-86. And again, kind of a tight ball game. Let's see it. I don't think there's going to be a huge statistical number. Again, they shot about the same, almost the same threes. Free throws were almost identical. Arkansas State 27 to Southern Miss's 25. So there's not a huge difference there. Arkansas State a little bit better on the boards, 37 to 29. And here's the big one, 16 offensive boards for Arkansas State versus just 8 for Southern Miss. So there is a little bit of the difference right there. These two teams like to go inside as well. Points in the paint. Arkansas State had 42 to Southern Miss's 30. Fouls were relatively even. 22 on Southern Miss, 19 for Arkansas State. So a good basketball game in the Sun Belt. Arkansas State has a little bench play. All right. You did have Chandler Jackson, starter, 18 points. Jackson Ellingsworth, 16. But 3 guys off the bench. Jalen Hampton, 15 points in 25 minutes. Christian Harmon, 14 points in 27 minutes. And Royal Blue Smith, which is a great name, 10 points in 16 minutes. So Arkansas State has some guys off of the bench. All right. So does Southern Miss, as it turns out. All right. Tylik Weeks led, I think, all scorers with 25 points, right? Yep, sure did. Kurt Lewis had 12. Dylan Brumfield had 11. And Brewer Caruth had 16 off of the bench for Southern Miss. And to be honest with you, just a little secret, we're starting to get into hoops. This is the way I find out who's who and what's what by going through the box scores with you guys. All right. One more. Georgia Southern has all of a sudden, what is it, won 7 in a row? Holy cow. They beat James Madison 96-92 in overtime. Let's see how it went to overtime. Let's see who had the lead here. All right, JMU's on the left. So looks like they missed free throws. JMU, holy cow. Bradley Douglas had 2 shots at the end of the game, and he missed one. He did hit one to send it into overtime, but he had 2. And Bradley Douglas, formerly of Georgia Southern, by the way, now at JMU. Wow. All right. So Georgia Southern, again, 10-5, and I think they've won 7 in a row, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Yeah. They are, now they get their next 3 games on the road. We're going to find out how good they are, mostly because you're playing road games. At Coastal, at Old Dominion, at South Alabama, but they don't play again. Holy cow. They do not play again until New Year's Day. That is like over a week away, right? Like 10 days away. One, if you want to include today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days away. Holy cow. All right. So that's not going to be easy. All right. They're at Coastal, at Old Dominion, at South Alabama. Let's see who the scores were in this ball game. For Georgia Southern, Spud Webb with 2 Ds, 22 points. Tyron Moore had 16, and Alden Applewhite had 15. Off the bench, Nakevian White in 37 minutes, so much for being off the bench. 25 points, 7 of 16 shooting, but 9 of 12 from the free throw line. Impressive. For JMU, all 5 starters in double figures. Bradley Douglas led the way with 27 points. He played 42 out of 45 minutes. Wow. Cliff Davis and Eddie Ricks III had 16 points. Gabe Newhoff had 13, and Justin McBride had 10. All right. JMU picked to win the conference 0-2. Georgia Southern winners of 7 in a row are 2-0. All right. We will continue. Hopefully I can get it. It'd be nice to have what they call an interview in the can for Christmas. Doesn't matter anyways. I'll have an episode. I will be traveling that day. Hopefully. We had some issues getting up here, but hopefully we will not have the issues on Christmas. Although if you're an air traffic controller, why wouldn't you call out on that day? You would think that would be the day that they would call out on, although you could get double and triple pay, I guess. I don't know how that works for the federal government. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my travel schedule and my lack of sleep and not having an episode on Sunday. But we did do the live show for 30 minutes at the DC airport. So I appreciate all of your support and having my back. Congratulations, Oregon, for winning the playoff game. I'm rooting for you, playing Texas Tech. And obviously, congratulations to JMU for a fantastic season. We do wish Bob Chesney all the best in his new venture with UCLA. We'll see how my guy, Billy Napier, can do with JMU. And we'll see when my guy, Billy Napier, comes on Locked On Sunbelt, right? We'll see when that happens. All right. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day. I'm going to enjoy my vacation. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.